Now that is an outstanding look. Doc Rivers, as of this morning, officially named as the 25th head coach in the history of the Philadelphia 76ers franchise. Big news to wake up to on a Saturday if you're here in the East, along with your bacon, your eggs, all that good stuff, pancakes, waffles, and the news that Doc Rivers is the next head coach officially of the Sixers. Welcome to the special edition of 7-6 Live. I am Brian Seltzer. Lauren Rosen, great to see you in this platform once again. Who would have thought this time a week ago that Doc Rivers, A, would become available, and B, would be the next Sixers head coach?
Well, look, Seltz, you and I just talked about it, but the speed at which this happened is really remarkable, and it only means two things. It means that Doc wanted to be with the Sixers, and the Sixers wanted to be with Doc. So it's mutual. Doc is going to be the 76ers' 25th head coach, and I can't imagine, at least this year, a better fit.
No question about it. We're going to dive into the analysis of this move, what it means for the Sixers. We're going to hear from ESPN's Kevin Neghandi in a few minutes. He'll weigh in with his thoughts on the Sixers getting Doc. But I think, Lauren, that from the very outset, about 5 weeks ago when the 76ers began this search, we heard from Elton Brand, who led the search himself, that he was not going to rush things. He was going to play it patient, that he was not going to be fastidious in this whole thing. And sure enough, he went about his diligence. And lo and behold, sometimes it might take a little bit of luck to go along with your skill. The Sixers, they did their diligence. Doc became available. And then that was like when Elton went into the high gear of his soul and shifted forward to make sure that Doc Rivers, A, got to Philadelphia and, figuratively speaking, didn't leave.
We talk about hurry up and wait in this industry a lot, but this was wait and hurry up when we got Doc Rivers to Philadelphia, Doc Rivers officially joining the team. It all happened so quickly. What a whirlwind, I'm sure they're all experiencing, and Doc and his family are experiencing. We're really excited to welcome him to Philadelphia. And I like I said, it's a good fit and it's exciting. This is one of the most well respected, highly regarded people in this entire league, whether you're a player, a coach, a member of the media. This is someone that everybody pretty much universally admires. When you talk to people that have worked with Doc before, they really only have good things to say. And what a better endorsement than to have tens across the board from the people that you work with.
Doc has been doing this so long at such a high level, managing both on and on the court, off and on the court, and just being, as you said, Lauren, a real ambassador of the game and being someone who leads from the front. All right, we're going to turn things to our man behind the sticks, Ryan Coletti. Maybe we can get a full screen graphic right now summarizing some of the accomplishments of Doc Rivers, what he's done in his 21 seasons as a head coach. He's won 943 regular season games. That's second most all time among current active coaches. And there, as you see, a champion in 2008 when he was with the Boston Celtics, and he was the 2000 NBA Coach of the Year, Lauren, in his first stint as a pro head coach, and that was with the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, and that was a team that was supposed to end up at the bottom of the conference. And sure enough, Doc turned it around, got them to a 500 record. And to win Coach of the Year in your first year as a head coach is no small feat. And we see these accomplishments here, obviously, Coach of the Year, NBA champion with the Celtics. But we can't overlook the fact that Doc also had a really solid career as a player. He was an all-star himself, one of the best point guards in, if not the best point guard in Atlanta Hawks history, that's for sure. So to have someone who has that experience as a player come in and pair that with the experience he has as a coach is really special and pretty unique in this league.
As we said, Elton Brand, the general manager for the 76ers, leading this search for the franchise. He took his time, did his diligence, and here are his words putting into context what the hiring of Doc Rivers means for the 76ers. In a press release issued by the 76ers earlier this morning, Elton saying, Doc is one of the most respected and accomplished head coaches in the NBA. I believe Doc can help us unlock our full potential on the floor and further our pursuit of an NBA championship. Love, Lauren, this next part. I also respect and appreciate that Doc's impact extends far beyond the basketball court as he truly embraces the platform he has to drive positive change in society. Doc is a great fit for our team and city, and I'm excited for what the future holds with him as our head coach.
Yeah, so let's look no further than the way that he spoke during the bubble. Obviously, these players and coaches have taken on a responsibility that never was necessarily theirs based on job description in terms of driving social change. And Doc has been at the front leading the way, always on the right side of history. And he's excited about being in Philadelphia. Here's what he had to say. This is a city that loves sports and loves their teams. It's a city that values hard work. And that is exactly what we are going to do and who we are going to be. We are ready to do good things in Philadelphia. I loved that quote. It got me hyped. It got me amped. And this is his first words as a Philadelphia 76ers head coach. He's ready. He's aligned with the city and he's aligned with what's going on in the world. Absolutely, Celts, you said it, but he's someone that makes a difference on and off the court. And there's no better ambassador in this league than Doc Rivers.
That was a tremendous quote to put in your first statement as the new head coach of an NBA franchise. So Doc is not going to be introduced officially today. We expect that at some point next week, we'll hear from Doc and general manager Elton Brand just to level set some expectations for you content consumers out there as far as what's to come the rest of the day. But breaking down, Lauren, some of Doc's numbers a little bit more, 943 regular season wins. We mentioned that at the top. Throw in 91 more postseason victories. That's over 1,000 career head coaching victories, a 58 win percentage, 564 and 356 winning percentage, better than 63 with the LA Clippers dating back to 2013. This guy has been successful at a sustained level, working with some of the biggest and most accomplished names in basketball and making them work together on the court.
He has 21 seasons as a head coach. Those numbers make him the 11th winningest coach of all time and the second active winningest coach. So this is someone that has a lot of experience. And those weren't all, we talked about it with his first stint with the Orlando Magic and early in his years with the Celtics. Those weren't all excellent teams from the jump. These are teams that Doc has found a way to make work together. Look no further than the Clippers team 2 years ago before the arrival of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George with the Clippers. That was a team that wasn't necessarily expected to achieve what they did. And Doc was able to put it together. You mentioned the group of guys that he's played for, just to name a few: Tracy McGrady, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Blake Griffin, CP3. I'm just trying to name all of them off the top of my head. DeAndre Jordan, another one. And when you think about the players on this 76ers team, there are a lot of comparisons you can draw there. A lot of guys that have similar skill sets, similar temperaments. And it'll be cool to see how Doc brings that breadth of experience with all-stars and MVPs and brings it to the table with this group of a lot of rising superstars.
And listen, Lauren, I think it's very easy for us to immediately pinpoint some of the premier star power players that Doc has coached over the course of his career. But also, when you think over the last 2+ decades that he's been doing this, there are dozens and hundreds of other guys who have played under Doc Rivers as well. And the consensus is seemingly unanimous. He's a leader of men, he's a player's coach, and I think really intriguingly, he finds a way to command the respect of his players while also drawing a tough line. I think that when you look back at Doc's career, that's a trait that's something he's carried through, whether it was in Orlando or Boston or with the most recently LA Clippers. I think we're working on getting Lauren's audio back for just a second. But I think that something that you all should do out there, and Lauren and I will touch upon this a little bit more, is if you haven't seen it yet, The Playbook. It's a mini doc series on Netflix, and that really gives a deep dive into the philosophies, the mindset, kind of the holistic essence of Doc Rivers and how he goes about his gig and the way he fits coaching into the context of life. It's a really terrific primer for you to be introduced to Doc Rivers and what he's all about. So if you haven't seen it yet or read about it, it's called The Playbook. It's on Netflix. The first episode features Doc Rivers. It is certainly a worthwhile watch. We hope our next segment is a worthwhile watch as well. Kevin Neghandi, homegrown guy from Philadelphia, repping the city of brotherly love on the 6 p.m. Sports Center each and every weeknight. We had the chance to catch up with Kevin and talk about this momentous news, the 76ers hiring Doc Rivers as their next head coach. Here it is. Really exciting times for the Philadelphia 76ers, Kevin, as they hire Doc Rivers to be the 25th head coach in franchise history. Before we dive into the details, I just want to hear what your general reaction is to a big acquisition by the hometown team for you.
It's just wild. What, like literally 3-4 weeks ago, we're projecting potentially the Clippers to be in the finals or at least a showdown in the Western Conference Finals against LeBron. And then Monday, an abrupt departure, amicable on both sides, from what I've heard in LA. And now 4 days later, the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm excited because of the credentials. I'm excited because accountability is the most important, I think, word with this next head coach. And I think Doc brings the resume and the accountability for everyone inside that locker room. And when you can get that and you can bring that resume of the experience and the title and the championship atmosphere that he has had his teams involved in, I think we are looking for a coach to take us to that next level. And Doc right now, he checks all the boxes.
Now, you've had experience watching and working with the Sixers and Doc for a really long time now. Where do you think that Doc's skill set can help this specific group the most?
I think the most important thing is and I come back to this, Lauren, is the accountability. If you guys want to take it to the next level, stop saying it. Now we're going to do it. Stop, with the quotes and stop with, hey, the promises. Now it's everybody on the same page. Let's figure it out. Let's get to the next level. And that includes Joel. That includes Ben. That includes Al Horford. And, I'm circling last there in that group of four is Tobias, because Tobias has experienced Doc, and he actually had his best season with Doc Rivers, and that spurred the Sixers trade and the acquisition to get him from the Clippers a couple years ago. So for Doc, the challenge right now is, how do I have all these parts? How do I make it fit? Now, he had to find a way to do that in Boston. He had parts, and he had to find a way to get Paul Pierce's personality in line with Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen, and Kevin Garnett had to, be aware, you guys have a certain goal. Same thing with Ray Allen. You have a certain goal. Paul Pierce just wanted to win, and to make sure that all worked together as a team, and sacrifices are made as a result, night in and night out, for the ultimate goal. I think that that's the one thing that Doc will bring here. Hey, I've got your attention now because I got a ring. I understand how to handle personalities. Now you got to listen to me. And if you don't listen to me, then this stuff, out the door. Because I view this as another 1-year experiment to see if all the pieces and the parts work.
Kevin, you've been covering sports at all levels for a pretty long period of time at a very high level. This isn't just something that's specific to NBA basketball, I don't think. Just how critical is the relational side of things, being able to tap into that, particularly when it comes to your best players, your stars? And then as we bring it back to Doc, are there any other anecdotes that you can remember over the last 15, 20 years seeing him in the NBA that stand out to you about how he's able to successfully manage the relational side of things and get guys to buy in?
Well, I think if you look at many levels, I mean, if you want to go across a variety of different sports, my prime example is Joe Torre. Joe Torre he was very blessed to have the core four originally with all that talent, but over time they had to bring in guys and shuffle out guys and high-priced talent like the Yankees spending, like the Giambis and the A-Rods, but at the same time finding the leaders in the group. And, it was very similar to what, we saw Phil Jackson do in Chicago and LA. It's all about adapting and being aware, but also the messaging that I'm the boss, but I'm also aware that we are adapting to everybody's style to make it work. But in the end, you have to answer to me, and you have to hold yourself responsible. And I think many of those clubhouses and locker rooms police themselves as well. And, he treated them like men. That is Joe Torre and Phil Jackson. And to a certain extent, he also was aware of the one-on-one relationship. And I think Doc can bring that. I think that's essential when you have to treat everybody like men. You police yourselves, but at the same time, each person and each personality is different. And that's what I hang my hat on here on a move like this. He brings the resume. My one thing with Doc is that he's got to be fully committed to this job as the coach. And when I say that, he's got to be aware and understand that this team desperately needs his voice at all times, especially from the start, and it needs to be a consistent voice. And the messaging needs to stay the same. Team. We are a team. We have great potential. Potential means nothing if we don't play like a team. And I think sometimes that messaging had gotten lost in the last year or two with the headlines. And, 2 years ago it was lightning in the bottle and a heck of a lot of fun, but a lot of immaturity and a lot of what about me and not what about us. And that's got to change, especially if you don't hold anybody accountable. And I am very curious to see how Doc finds a way to utilize Al Horford and Tobias as not only complementary players, but certain nights, hey, we need you to be the guy. And there are going to be nights like that, because when you talk about a long season, it's not just one guy. I mean, perfect examples, look at what the Miami Heat have done. It's Jimmy Butler's done a great job, but there are a lot of parts coming together, and each and every night somebody steps up. And that's what the Sixers need to, I think, realize, that it is not just the two guys, our foundations. It is a lot of everybody else coming together and stepping up when those two guys are not on at all times.
Kevin, something that we've talked about a little bit today is the commonality that the Sixers and Doc Rivers share, in that their seasons within the bubble ended in a way that they both had the thing to prove next season. So when you think about what Doc has to prove after this season with the Clippers and what these 76ers have to prove after this recent exit from the playoffs, where do you think that they'll come together when it comes to that sort of chip on your shoulder mentality? Is that something you're looking forward to seeing?
I actually, it's a great comparison. I actually look at it this, that Doc comes in there saying, I have to prove nothing. You guys have to prove it to me, right? Coming in fresh, so you guys have to prove to me. I look at it the approach of, with the championship pedigree, to impress him. And that comes back to the accountability factor, right? What are you guys going to do? Because I am not growing up with you along this whole thing where we went through the losing and we understand and stuff. Now it's, no, I'm in here fresh, clean slate. Everybody's getting a clean slate. You guys start from scratch. What are you going to show me? So to me, this is really about, the guys in that locker room proving themselves. What are they going to prove to Doc, and what are they going to prove to each other in understanding the process? And I'm excited to see how that dynamic works, because again, you cannot deny this. There are coaches that walk into a room that command a different type of respect because they don't have to say anything because they've already done it. And Doc's one of those guys.
Well put. We would expect nothing less from Kevin Neghandi. I'm sure we'll be talking more about it on the 6 p.m. tonight. Kevin, thank you so much for a few minutes.
Guys, it's my pleasure to be with you guys. I just got to tell you one thing. It's just so much fun to talk about something positive in Philadelphia sports. It's been a brutal month. So, hopefully this is the start of it to the rest of 2020 in October with the good news. So it's been a pleasure, and I'm glad that we could talk about something positive.
I am on that train. Great stuff. Really exciting times for the Philadelphia 76ers. Really seemed like once Doc Rivers became available for this position for the Sixers, a lot of fans out there wanted him, and I'm happy for some of the content consumers, our great content consumers out there, that the Sixers were able to hire a guy who it seems like the fan base really wanted to have in town.
I agree with you, Seltz. This is someone, we've said it, it's an ambassador to the game. The players respect him, the coaches respect him, and now we know the fans respect him too. on some of our previous segments that we've done this morning, it seems like the fans are really excited. So we're right there with you guys. We can't wait to get Doc in the market and get things going.
You know who else sounds pretty excited? New Papa, number 21, the three-time All-Star, Joel Embiid. Let's roll the social tape and see what Joel Embiid put up on his Twitter feed about the hiring of Doc Rivers. Excitement from the big fella. Welcome to the city of brotherly love, Coach Doc Rivers. That's not one, not two, not three, but 4 exclamation points. Excited for the future and what we are building here. And really, Lauren, when you look around the basketball NBA community on social media, a lot of positive reaction to this development.
For sure. And it was such a treat to see Josh Richardson's live reaction yesterday. He was streaming entirely separately from the Sixers news, but he saw it on Twitter just like you and me. And he was really excited. And you have to remember, Josh isn't someone that's played under Doc before. And he's someone that is thrilled. He said, that's the homie. He said, we're ready to go. And that's huge that someone like Josh would be excited to play for someone he's never played before. So it was a treat to get to see Josh's live, unfiltered reaction as well.
Magic Johnson, who used to occupy the top basketball decision-making seat in the team across the hall in Staples Center from Doc and the Clippers, the 76ers ownership group made an excellent decision hiring Coach Doc Rivers. I believe that he will take Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and the entire organization to the next level. Yeah, a lot of good reaction to Doc Rivers as the next coach. Even Meek Mill weighing in as well, pumped up about it, as I certainly am. I know, Lauren, you are. And it seems like a lot of the fans out there are as well. So we're going to wrap up this 7-6 Live reaction show to the hiring of Doc Rivers. We will leave you with this. It looks like at some point next week, we're going to hear from Doc Rivers officially for the first time in the capacity of 76ers head coach with a press conference of some kind. So be sure to stay tuned to @Sixers for all the latest news and development content coming your way in the days ahead. Also want to shout out and thank Ryan Coletti, Trevor Gaffney behind the scenes, and Lauren Rosen as well. Thank you for watching and streaming along with us. We'll talk to you next time on 7-6 Live. See ya.
Thanks, everybody.